Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you want to be notified. What is going on? Shakur Stevenson versus Robson Conceição. Shakur Stevenson was too much for Robson Conceição. I mean, Robson Conceição, I thought he started off pretty well. He started off boxing well, but once Shakur started figuring out that Robson Conceição was, he wasn't blocking his body, and uh he was getting hurt to the body. That's when Shakur Stevenson decided to capitalize on Robson Conceição. Robson Conceição, obviously, the gold medal Olympian. This is the second time he's fallen short. Once was to Oscar Valdez, where many people thought Robson Conceição could have won that fight, or that he uh, lost it at the end of those rounds, right? Because he fades out in the second half of the fight. But tonight you've seen a Robson Conceição who he wasn't really pursuing too much, but he was countering, and he was giving Shakur Stevenson, I would say minimal work, Shakur Stevenson, but that could also play into what Shakur Stevenson really is. Shakur Stevenson he's a really good boxer, you know what I'm saying? And Shakur Stevenson surprisingly was on the front foot, and he was hunting Robson Conceição. I think that once he saw that Robson Conceição really didn't have any power, because a lot of those shots, you see a lot of those shots that Robson was throwing didn't really have anything behind that. Obviously, we saw Shakur Stevenson was the bigger man inside of the ring, you know, and he was acting like he was the bigger man in the ring. He was going at Robson with everything, and Robson really didn't have an answer, to be honest. Yes, Robson did catch Shakur Stevenson pretty clean with some shots, but it wasn't he just didn't have enough pop behind those shots. He was a good boxer, but he's just not he wasn't at Shakur Stevenson's level, to be honest. Right? He wasn't at Shakur Stevenson's level. I think that Shakur Stevenson just he's he he's one of those guys, especially moving up to 135 now. I think that is gonna be really good for the division, the lightweight division. He wants to fight with Lomachenko. Obviously, a fight with Devin Haney would probably be what people want, to face the undisputed champion. But it's really on Top Rank, right? Is it gonna be Top Rank wanting to make the Devin Haney Loma fight, or is it Top Rank gonna be wanting to make the Devin Haney fight for Shakur Stevenson? It just depends on what Top Rank really wants for their company, and that's probably the fight that we'll see next from uh against Devin Haney, right? So right now it's two major players in the game for Devin Haney. It's Lomachenko and Shakur Stevenson, who is newly going up to 135. And I think that, you know, Top Rank might want to give Shakur Stevenson that shot for undisputed at 135 against Devin Haney, because Shakur Stevenson is obviously the younger fighter. Um, and Lomachenko being an older fighter, and but we'll have to see about what they're gonna do in the future for Shakur Stevenson, and see where he goes. I think 135, like I said, that's a great division for Shakur Stevenson to be at. Tonight we saw Robson Conceição really didn't have an answer for Shakur Stevenson. I mean, Shakur Stevenson was rolling with punches. He wasn't getting caught flush with a lot, but with what he was getting caught with, if Robson Conceição really had power, he probably would have, put at least hurt him. You know what I'm saying? But what Shakur Stevenson did tonight, just this shows what he'll probably bring to the table when he goes up to 135. Fast hands, and a very smart, very, very high IQ inside of that ring. Um, like he saw Robson, he couldn't block the body, and that's where he was hurting Robson at, was the body. The body was killing Robson. I mean, yes, the knockdown that they ruled, you know, it's a 50-50 thing, you know what I'm saying? Like it really didn't look like a knockdown because it wasn't a punch, but they called it a delayed reaction, which could have been, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Robson survived the whole fight. So was it really a delayed reaction, or was it that he got pushed down? I mean, obviously we saw that Shakur Stevenson multiple times when Robson tried to clinch, um, he threw down Robson. You know what I'm saying, and also being a point deducted, with it with him doing that. And excessive clinching needs to be again excessive clinching needs to be uh it needs to be reviewed. You know what I'm saying? Robson Concencia was clinching way too much. you know he was trying to clinch after every exchange. He would throw some punches, then try to clinch. You know what I'm saying? um and it just needs to be reviewed, man. Excessive clinching is just too much. You know what I'm saying? It just makes the fight boring and nobody wants to see it. Um, but I thought it was a pretty exciting fight. I honestly can't complain. I thought it was a pretty exciting fight. I thought that Shakur Stevenson did what he was supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Even though he came in a pound and 6 ounces overweight, um, over the weight limit, you know, it, he wasn't gonna be able to keep up that weight. You know what I'm saying? It's impossible. It's impossible. A 25-year-old in growing, it's impossible for you to keep that type of weight, and you just staying at 130. You have to move up as your body is moving. You know what I'm saying? And it could cause health problems. So I think that the best thing for Shakur Stevenson is to go to 135, and I don't think that he'll be at 135 much long either. If you see Shakur Stevenson, he's the bigger dude in there. You know what I'm saying? He was the bigger dude in there. You know, and 135, I think that Shakur Stevenson will have success. I think that he will have, if he fights Devin Haney, I think that he will have tremendous success against a guy like Devin Haney. And of course, you know, you have other names at 135. You know what I'm saying? Like Javante Tank Davis. I'll show you the list. And it's funny because ESPN shows this top 10 lightweight list, right? Uh, Lightweight top 10 at 135 pounds. And what's funny, what I see here is that they have Teofimo Lopez still there, right? It's sitting there at number 5, but Teofimo Lopez doesn't fight at 135 anymore. And they don't have Ryan Garcia at all at 135. I don't know if it's because Ryan Garcia said he'll never move back. I mean, he's not going back down to 135 or not, but I don't know why they would have Teofimo Lopez there because he's not fighting at 135 there either. But they have Devin Haney, Lomachenko, Javante Tank Davis, George Kambosos Jr., Jojo Diaz, Isaac the Pitbull Cruz, Gustavo Limos, Zaur Abdalev, and Javier Fortuna on that top 10 lightweight list. Now, you have other guys that should be up there on that top 10 lightweight list. I think that Javier Fortuna, is past his prime. Zaur Abdalev is not really a problem at 135. You got guys that are up and coming as well that should be on this list, but it just plays into how many names that Shakur Stevenson could really fight at 135. Of course, Devin Haney, Vasyl Lomachenko are on top of his list. Either fight is a great fight for Shakur Stevenson. Either fight, I believe, is a great fight. Um, Now, what will Top Rank do? You know what I'm saying? Because they have all three fighters, Devin Haney, Lomachenko, and Shakur Stevenson. Are they gonna want to give Shakur Stevenson the Devin Haney fight? Go with the younger guy, the younger guy that's going up to 135, or are they gonna want to give the old dog Lomachenko a shot at the titles against Devin Haney? And is Devin Haney gonna stay at 135? So many questions are out there, is for these fights to happen. But one thing's for certain, I think that they can make the Shakur Stevenson Vasily Lomachenko fight a reality. I think that that fight is very, very much reachable. But I think that they're gonna give a shot to one of those two fighters against Devin Haney for his undisputed world titles. It should be good though, man. It should be good. You know, I don't think that Shakur Stevenson is gonna get a Javante Tank Davis. Might get a George Kambosos as a tune-up. Teofimo Lopez is not at 140 anymore. Jojo Diaz, I highly doubt that they'll make a fight with them. Maybe Isaac Cruz and this guy Gustavo Limos, who I have no zero clue who that is. I'll definitely be looking him up. And I know Zaur Abdelev and Javier Fortuna. Those are just two guys that are pretty much, you know, they're all right. You know what I'm saying? Javier Fortuna is pretty much a gatekeeper. You know what I'm saying? But that's about it. I don't even see Javier Fortuna as a real contender in that weight. But man, it was a good fight though. It was a good fight. I can't complain. I enjoyed it. I pretty much enjoyed that fight. You know what I'm saying? This is what Rolando Romero had to say. Best boxer. This is what the commentary, obviously top ranked commentary is it's a little biased towards Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, two up and coming fighters, you know what I'm saying? They're pretty much biased because I don't know why, but he said best boxer in the world, but gets cracked like fuck, has no power, constantly throwing low blows and throwing people on the ground. And the biased commentary is beyond bullshit. Y'all motherfuckers following this shit are cheap. You know that it was a little weird, to be honest. Let's be honest. It was a little weird. It's questions out in the air. Is this CompuBox that ESPN is using, is it a little false? You know what I'm saying? Because I saw a lot more body shots than they reported when they showed the their little CompuBox, right? I saw way more body shots that Robson Conceição landed on Shakur Stevenson. Now, I don't know. You know, is that somebody just punching in the numbers? I don't know. But it was a little weird, and I felt like Robson, he was catching Shakur Stevenson sometimes with flush shots. Obviously, Shakur was just, rolling with some of those punches and didn't get caught flush at all. And obviously, you saw Robson Conceição that second half of the fight. He was just trying to honestly survive that fight. He was not there to be, to win that fight at all. You know, Even the doctor, I mean, he saw it. The doctors even saw that Robson Conceição he was basically out of it. He wasn't there no more. You know, for the constant low blows, it was a lot of low blows in that fight, coming from Shakur Stevenson and the throwing people on the ground. I actually agree with what Shakur was doing. Is honestly, it's too much clinching in the sport of boxing sometimes. I think that the fighters that are very defensively cautious, man, just way too much clinching, and I think that that should be reviewed within the sport of boxing, to be honest. Stop these clinches, man. Like, stop a lot of these dudes from being able to clinch way too much throughout a fight, because it just tires out the fight. It bores the fight. Obviously, you win at all costs and you make the referee do its job. But at the end of the day, man, it's just for fans' enjoyment, it gets boring. And I think that Robson, um, he was tired in there. He was tired, and all he could really do was clinch, because Shakur Stevenson would counter him with some crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? And stuff that Robson was getting caught with. I mean, look at the second half of the fight. You have Robson Conceição, who was getting tagged to the body from Shakur Stevenson, but then Shakur Stevenson started throwing looping left hands. You know what I'm saying? And catching Robson Conceição the whole time. You know, so it's just Robson was really not there no more. He was like shit. He didn't even know what to do anymore. He couldn't adjust. I mean, he wasn't adjusting to getting hit to the body. Andre Ward, I believe, said it. He doesn't know how to defend his body. And I think that's true. He wasn't defending his body at all. So I think that Robson Conceição, obviously, he's had 2 shots at the world title, and both times he's come up short. I think this time, honestly, Top Rank, they're gonna keep him around, but he's just gonna be a gatekeeper or something, somebody that attests for other fighters. Um, we'll see, right? We'll definitely see. But back to this top 10, I want to know who's gonna be the fighter that Shakur Stevenson will fight next, and more than likely, it will be either number 1 or number 2 on this list, which is Devin Haney and Vasily Lomachenko. Either one, I think, will be probably not next, but I think in the near future. I think that if they could, if they want a next, it would have to be Devin Haney, because Devin Haney can't stay at 135 anymore. I think that he's not going to be able to cut that weight and go up the stay at 135. I think he's already showing signs of it. He's been telling people. So I don't think that Devin Haney stays at 135. But if they want to get fast track Shakur Stevenson, obviously go ahead and give him Devin Haney for undisputed, and then you make an undisputed fight with Shakur Stevenson and Lomachenko, which either or, it's a banger. You know what I'm saying? 3 fights, or any of those 3 fights will be bangers. So we'll have to see. But obviously, I don't think that we'll get a Gervonta Tank Davis, and like I've said, George Kambosos might be the tune-up fight. After Devin Haney gets done with George Kambosos, maybe Shakur Stevenson gets George Kambosos as a tune-up, and we'll see where it goes from there. But like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you want to be notified, and y'all can follow me on Instagram at P4P Boxing Real News, and we out.